My name is Elizabeth Hepner, and this is my family's immigration story. I got this story from my great-grandpa Jake, and it is from about when he moved from Montana to Oregon. A little bit about my grandpa. My grandpa is 91 years old, and he moved to the Rogue Valley around the year of 1959 to start working on the White City sewage line. Before that, he started off in Montana and then moved to Idaho, then to Washington, then back to Idaho, then right back to Washington, and then he finally ended up here in Oregon and fell in love. That means he has now lived here for around 60 years. He's one of the best people I have ever known. I was really excited to do this interview because this is a story that I have never heard before. When I first asked him what the strongest reason was for him leaving Montana, he said that it was because of how terrible the work was. The majority of the jobs available were farm and ranch work, and it did not pay well. He moved away for better opportunities. At the time, minimum wage was $4.25 an hour, and rent averaged about $71 a month. After doing the math, if you worked a 40-hour work week, you would make about $1,360 a month. That may seem like a lot, but after you pay rent, you'd be left with $1,289 to pay other bills, to provide for your family of 5, to put food on the table, to give your children the life they deserve. Is this terrible worth it? My grandpa didn't think so. Over here is a picture of actually what the Montana farms look like, and as you can see, they were just very barren, not a lot of mountains, just a lot of grassy farmland, which, it isn't the most fun to look at either. And then I asked him what drew him to Oregon, and he said that the main reason he wanted to come to Oregon was because of the weather. Oregon is known very well for its beautiful weather. In comparison, Montana's weather in 1959 was truly terrible. In January of 1959, the temperatures would drop below 10 degrees Fahrenheit. The graph below shows the hourly temperatures from December to February. The amount of frigid and freezing temperatures blew me away. I would definitely not want to work on a farm for 40 hours a week in those conditions. And as you can see, the light blue is the freezing, and then the dark blue is the frigid. And frigid is below 15 degrees, and freezing is between 15 degrees and 32 degrees. Which is it's still way too cold. The big differences between Montana and Oregon. So he said that the biggest difference was the weather and the landscape. He said it is so much better here compared to Montana. Here, in Oregon, the high temperature in January averaged about 48 degrees Fahrenheit, a 4-degree increase from the year before. In Montana, the high temperatures in January were about 39 degrees Fahrenheit, a 3-degree increase from the year before. Obviously, both Oregon and Montana's average temperatures have increased over the years, and it is much more bearable to live in Montana now rather than in 1959. Now, here are the differences in landscapes between the two. So here on Google, this is Google Earth. As you can see, in Montana, there's just this side that has some a little bit of biodiversity, the mountains, the forest, things like that. But other than that, it is just mostly the grassy farmlands, just super barren, not much there. As you can zoom in here, those are all just different farm plots. And you can tell by looking at them, stuff like that. It's mind-blowing to me. And then if you go over to here to Oregon, you can see the great biodiversity. You can see over here all of the forests, things like that, our coastal line. You can see the desert area, of course, but you can also see all of the different mountain ranges and things like that all around. So you can obviously see that there is a pretty big difference between Montana and Oregon. All right. And then, does he miss Montana? He said not whatsoever. He informed me that this is because it is a really rough state to live in. The winters there were terrible, and there just wasn't a lot of work opportunities available. Does he wish he ended up somewhere other than Oregon? He told me that Oregon is the best. He loves that you can be on the coast in the morning and at the desert by night. He really loves how diverse Oregon is. Here, off to the side, shows how long it would take to get from Medford to the coastal town Gold Beach, which is the top one, and then from Gold Beach to the desert town Christmas Valley, Oregon, which is the bottom one. So to get to Gold Beach from Medford, it's about a 3.5 hour drive. And then to get from Gold Beach to Christmas Valley, it's only going to be about a 6.5 hour drive. So really, it's anywhere from like 9 to 10 hours of driving in a day to be able to get from one place to the other. So, it's going to be a lot of driving, but it definitely is doable, which is a pretty cool thing. The politics in Montana at the time of him leaving, he said that there were no issues in politics at the time, but then after doing my own research, I found out that there was actually a lot that the government was trying to work on. It was things such as the creation of centralized state investment programs, creation of the Constitutional Convention, the Save Our State, SOS push to adopt sales tax, and then many, many more. Apparently, none of these changes ever affected my great-grandpa, though, because they obviously didn't leave a lasting impression on him. The economy in Montana at the time. There weren't many jobs, and the pay really was not great. That was his reason for leaving. He could not support a family of 5 in Montana at the time, and he just needed a job with better pay. I asked him, was it hard to adjust from Montana to Oregon? And he said that it wasn't hard to adjust. What was hard was all of the moving around that he was doing in between and moving from Montana to Oregon. Like, just the whole thing was very hard. It was really hard on his family, which in turn was hard on him. My great-grandpa was following jobs, and my grandpa and his brothers were constantly having to switch schools. He said that one year the kids went to 5 different schools in just a year, and that averages less than 3 months in a school. The hardest part of leaving Montana, he said he didn't want to put his family through moving as much as they were going to have to, but he really just didn't have a choice. He needed to provide for his family. An article from Psychology Today said that when parents are stressed and upset, trust me, moving is always stressful. Their parenting suffers, and the kids always, always, always notice. This happens to a lot of kids, not just to my grandpa and his brothers. My great-grandpa, he really tried his hardest to make this transition easy for them, but it was not easy to do at the time. Everybody was in the family was going through a lot. That was a lot of moving, and they were just trying to make more money to be able to survive, so it was just a lot of stress. Here are all of my references, and then that is my family story. Thank you guys so much for listening.